Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today for the Khan Academy and Khanmigo for Math session. My name is Rebecca Smekla, and I'm a part of the Educational Technology team here. Really excited about today's session. We're going to have a lot of fun. Before we get started, let's go through just a few housekeeping. Please add your questions, comments in the chat. If you've not joined a live stream on YouTube before, you might have to click in and create a channel. Create your channel so you can join the discussion. And technology sometimes can be crazy. So if your chat does not appear for you during the live stream, just open an incognito window in Chrome and paste that YouTube URL right in the top bar and you'll be good to go. So we do have a full lineup of amazing sessions today. This is our, fifth one in today, and we still have a full afternoon. So if something looks of interest to you, we hope that we will see you later on this afternoon. But now I'm going to bring up my good friend, Tamsin Storen. She is our dedicated professional learning specialist for Palm Beach County, and she is going to be sharing all kinds of amazing tips and tricks using Khanmigo with math today. So let me go ahead and pull up your slides, Tamsin, and have a great show.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good morning, everyone. Again, Tamsin Storen. I'm your professional learning specialist. I've probably met some of you already. I am your professional learning specialist, but I'm also joined with Elizabeth Hadley, your district success manager. And we have Stacy in the chat, the director of professional learning, all here to support Palm Beach County schools. For your support from the Ed Tech team, you have by region, different supports for anything Palm Beach related in Ed Tech. Today, we're going to focus on Khan Academy courses, how to assign content, monitor student progress. We're also going to dive into mastery learning using the course challenge and monitoring mastery goal progress. And at the end, we're going to get into Khanmigo teacher tools using Khan Academy course content. Just a brief overview, Khan Academy is the good old videos that we remember from way back in the day that have come a very, very, very long way, that now is not just about math, but has a plethora of content in the platform that you can access for free. Khanmigo is not something separate. Khanmigo is the embedded AI chatbot that is supporting teachers with their teachers and helping learners with their learners, especially focusing on closing those learning gaps. The Khanmigo for teachers are the tools that we discussed at the back to school sessions, and they are what we're going to utilize to support the Khan Academy content today. And Khanmigo for learners are the tools that students have access to support them and be that Socratic tutor for them in their, whether they're at home, at school, anytime they need extra help, Khanmigo is there for them. So first, we're going to look at Khan Academy courses. When you log into your account, you're going to see these blue buttons that are your district synced courses. You want to make sure you're using these because every night at SAS and Khanmigo catch up on all the happenings at every school, which seems exhausting. And they're making sure that everything is synced so that you have what you need the next day and everything is updated so you don't have to do that yourself. When you're in, you are able to add a course. So you might see this button somewhere along, if you haven't added a course yet, along this page in your account. Adding a course makes it a lot easier to create and manage your assignments when assigning from Khan Academy course content. Also, you can change and edit the course at any time. So if you click on the sleeping snowman next to the courses that they're already there or right here, you can go into your settings and adjust your courses at any time. I do want to highlight our Florida Best Math Aligned courses since we are focusing on math today. As you'll see here, these are the Florida Best Math classes that we have for students and for you to assign to students. And I also want to show these high school algebra college courses that we have and even highlight the specific one that I love, the digital SAT, which is aligned with College Board. And so students are interacting with content and questions that are aligned to what they're going to see in the new digital SAT exam. Here's a brief overview of what is in the Khan Academy course content. So when you're in a course, so here we have Algebra 1, you have units within the course, and these units are divided into lessons. And each unit covers specific topics, with the lessons teaching the concepts and skills, and then they're followed by these practice activities and exercises, as well as quizzes. When you are assigning content, you have the option to choose to assign articles, videos, as well as practice exercises, quizzes, tests, and challenges. So I'm going to head into my Khan Academy account, and I'm going to have you, if you'd like to do it at the same time, follow me along. We're going to look through the process of assigning a Khan Academy course content to your students. So for today, I'm going to go into this class right here, and I'm going to click on the title. And when I'm in, I'm going to have this toolbar on the side. So don't worry about whatever's showing up here. That's just where I last left off. You want to look on your toolbar on the left. You can toggle between your different courses at the top. And then when you see these carrots, you can click on them and you'll get a drop down menu for more options. So first we're going to stick over here with assignments, and you're going to click the drop down arrow, and you have assign Khanmigo, scores, and manage. So first we're going to click on assign. And this is the page that it should look like for you, that you can go to based on the course in which you are assigning content from. So for this particular class, the courses that I've linked to this class is the Digital SAT Math and Algebra 1. So I can toggle between these two different courses and select content from them to assign, which is why it's nice to have that course added to your class so you're able as a teacher to easily get to that content without having to go through a lot longer process. When you're in, you're going to see all your different units. So here I'm at Algebra 1. And if I go down to where I'm teaching, I can click on this caret, and it's going to give me the different lessons. So I have a lesson here. I have a lesson here. Anytime you see a caret, you can click on it, and it's going to give you even more information. These icons, like we saw earlier, are your videos, exercises, and I don't see any articles in this one. So let me see if I can find one. And here with the little paper corner is your article. Then when you're in here, I'm going to go into my digital SAT. I'm going to open my advanced math unit. When you're in here, you have these little check marks on the side. These are where you're able to go in and start assigning content. So maybe you want to assign this article, and you are preparing for the digital SAT, and your students are ready for the harder example. So I'm going to give them that. And also this factoring quadratic and polynomial expressions. And then I might come down here, and maybe I want them to work on something from here, radicals and stuff. You have the option to pick and choose and tailor it to meet your needs. Once you have what you want to assign, click this blue assign button at the top. My favorite part is that you can assign different question sets for each student or the same question set for each student. So think about it this way. If your students are working in small groups and they have a group of students working together, maybe you want the same set of questions for those students so that they are able to work collaboratively, but still be held accountable for that work by putting in their answers into their computer. Or maybe you have students who are working independently and you don't want them to peek at other screens. So maybe you have the different set of questions for each student. So you do have that option. Another option you have is to toggle between all of your classes. So maybe I don't have another class that I'm doing SAT prep in, so I'm only going to choose this one. But maybe I do. Maybe this is an SAT prep class, and so is this one. So you can choose which class you want to assign this to. And if you're in just one class, you can go and choose specific students. So maybe I want to select no students, and I know that Rex, Miguel, Luis, and Scott are in a small group, and I want those students only to be getting this assignment. So I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to go back here and make sure they get the same question set again, because they're going to be working together. So you have a lot of options in here. You can even have your start date start out in the future, so that if your students are, if it's something that you want to make sure they have access to at a later time and not work on it yet, because maybe you haven't taught it yet, then you can choose and edit that accordingly as well. And then when you're done, you're going to click this assign button here at the bottom. If you're not ready to assign it and you want to save your draft, you have that option as well. Now, after you assign your content, so we were over here on the left at assign, underneath you're going to see scores and manage. So if I go to scores, this is the page where I'm going to be able to see how my students are doing on the assignments I've made. You will notice that when it is an article with this little folded down paper, corner of the paper, they're only going to get a check mark. It's just showing that they opened the assignment and they engaged in the assignment, and they're going to get a check mark for doing so. When they have actual quizzes and practice problems, you're going to be able to see an actual score for the work that they did. And as you see, when I hover over them, I can click on view report. Another thing, if you look over here, do you see how this doesn't have a dark gray box? It just has a line on it. That's a great feature that shows that I didn't assign it to those students. These students here that have the one with the gray box and the ones that are filled in are actually the only students that got that assignment. These ones didn't. So that's nice to not have to figure out, oh, did they not do it, or is it because I didn't give it to them? So you'll have that differentiation between those two boxes. When you are in the scores report, you also have the option to download your assignment scores to a CSV. Okay, so this is going to be a way for you to import it into spreadsheet software for easy analysis. It'll help you identify strengths, areas for improvement, and even make informed decisions about assignments and support strategies. So that's a nice feature we have here. Another side of the report is the manage. So I was here under scores. If I click on manage, this is where you're able to go in and change dates, right? So if I set this for a certain date and I want to change the date, I can edit the assignment by clicking on the sleeping snowman. Or maybe I assigned this to one of my classes, but I forgot to assign it to another one. I can click on make a copy, and I'm back in here and I'm able to go in and make a copy. I will point out, when you go to make a copy, I'll show you here. So we're in this SAT prep class. When I go to make a copy, the class that is selected is the class that I already have the assignment from, that I'm making a copy from. So because it defaults to that, you're going to want to make sure you unclick it, because then it's going to give that assignment to that class twice, and then proceed to select the other classes you wanted to make a copy to. You also, if you scroll over, so when you see this like dark gray page looking middle of a page thing, you can scroll over, because a lot of people sometimes miss where this is. So if you wanted to delete assignment, you would scroll over and click any checkbox for ones you want to delete, and you're able to delete that assignment here. Do know that we'll lose progress. If the students that did the assignments, you will lose that data. Now, anything that's blue, you can click on in here. So if I click on this digital SAT math, I can click on it. You see it opens a new tab, and it brings me right to what it looks like for a student on that assignment. Next to that, we have the number of students who completed it. So here we have 25 out of 25 students. If I click on that, you get this little overview of the student, when they completed it, the date and time, how many times they attempted to complete it, their best score, and if they leveled up or down on certain skills while they were working on it. And you can even see individual student reports. So you can really do a big dive into the data here with your students in many different places. And then under to the right of that, you'll see responses. I can click on responses, and now I'm in a different report. What's cool about this report is it's going to list over here the different assignment questions. So remember, these students might have had different questions, or maybe you assigned the same questions. But what you're going to see is the questions are ordered by whatever the question that was missed the most. So here, this one was missed the most, and then it gets going down further. We can see, because this is a demo account, we don't have too much differentiated data, but you can see here this one was missed the most. You have access to model this on your board, so you can show a calculator. So if you want to use a calculator, it's linked here for you. You also have the option to see the students' names, or keep the students' names hidden for privacy if you're modeling this on the board. And then you have a drawing pad, so you can work the problem out here on your board if you have your smart board with your pen. You have access to hints if students or teachers are needing some hints for their students. And again, the last thing you can click on is reveal the answer, then it'll show you the correct answer. So there's a lot in that you can do in this, just in this assignment question report, because you could be in a small group and you could be working with students and you could have this on your computer and kind of have this as your little miniature smartboard in front of them. You can work with students if you're conferencing with them and they need a little more extra help. So there's a lot of ways you can use this report. And again, that was the one that was called responses. So you see here under article, it doesn't have the word responses. That's because there aren't any things for students to be answering in that one. So you don't have any link to their responses because they didn't need any. And the same thing goes when they're working through a video. All right. The next thing I'm going to show you is the report for, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Oh, sorry, the activity overview. Okay, so the activity overview is on top. So I'm going to close this one down. And this is another report that's going to give you what activity your students were engaging in, whether it was inside of your class, outside of your class, whatever they've been in the Khan Academy platform. And you can change it and have it, what did they do today? What did they do in the last 7 days? And even pick a custom range. When you have this check mark here, only show my classes courses, these are the ones that were here that we added to our classes. So if you uncheck this, you're going to get data from students working in stuff outside of your course, maybe for another teacher. So here we have Richard. If I click this, it has other, right? So this is work outside of your locale, your computer program, whatever it is. It could be on some other course, and it tells you what they were doing in here for that course. If you want to dive deeper into specifically what Richard was doing in your digital SAT math course, you can click the caret and you can see he was working in the foundations unit, and you can dive down even further. And he was working in the advanced foundations, advanced math unit with radicals and factoring. After you're in these, you can hover over here and come over here and see where they've been proficient. So they attempted a skill. So if I look in here, I can see the foundations for data inferences was attempted, was familiar on this one, and proficient. So it gives you a breakdown of very specifically how students are doing. Now, these color coding things that you're seeing here are part of what we call our mastery learning. So I'm going to head over to my slides and give you a brief little overview of what mastery learning is for Khan Academy. Oops. So mastery learning is a feature in Khan Academy that allows for personalized pacing for students. It helps them kind of take a little bit of ownership for their learning, and it helps for teachers and students to address knowledge gaps and promoting a growth mindset within themselves through this process. This is really helpful for teachers because it can really narrow down those learning gaps for students so that they're able to differentiate what they're working on without having to take a ton of work and a ton of time to do that for the student. And it also improves long-term outcomes for students. So these are those colors you were seeing on your screen. Students get attempted if they got less than 70% of their questions correct on that assignment. They get listed as familiar if they got anywhere between 70 and 99% correct. Proficient, they got 100% of the questions correct on an exercise or skill, but that's in isolation. So if they get it correct again somewhere outside of that, whether it's a unit test, a course challenge, a mastery challenge, anywhere outside where it's not just that skill in isolation, then they will get this and it will be listed as mastered. And here's some notes about efficacious use to really have this be a part of their learning program and making sure that it's done with fidelity. These are the different pieces that we recommend for students to achieve throughout the course. So I'm going to show you how to kind of use this in a way that will benefit your students so that they can have this experience. So again, we're here back at our homepage, and I'm going to go into the class I was working on. And now earlier we had overview and we were under assignments. Now we're going to come over here where it says mastery goals. I'm going to click on this drop down, And I'm going to show you the process on how to assign a mastery goal. If you don't see the button assign underneath mastery goals, make sure you click this caret and it'll appear right here. This is what your screen will look like when you're going to assign a course or mastery goal. So our course or unit mastery goal. A course goal is like set it and forget it, right? You can set it, put it at the date at the end of the year, right? So if I had Algebra 1, I'm going to do course mastery goal. I pick my date at the end of the year where it's right before they're going to take their EOC, and I just leave it. If then afterwards, I would recommend going in and doing a unit mastery goal. So what happens is when students are going and working in unit mastery goals, you can kind of make it a short-term goal, and you can pick the dates over here. And what it does is as students are working through this, it also fills in their mastery for their course mastery table, which I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go in here just to give you an idea of what that looks like, because I have, maybe not. Oh, you know what? Let me go into my student account. So this is William. This is his student account. I'm going to show you, this is what it looks like for his mastery goals. So you can see he has a course mastery goal for grammar and one for 6th grade math. Let me go into a different one, see if he has any different goals. So they're all dependent on the class that he's in. Okay, this one has assignments and courses and no goals, right? So what that does is a student can come in here and they can click on this and they can work at it at an independent pace. You'll see every student's going to get their own little chart up here at the top showing where they're at and where they need to work. And it also keeps that information down here in each section as well. So if I'm a student and I have passed this quiz, these 5 questions, it fills in my mastery levels for each one here. And I can see here, I need to work on dividing fractions by whole numbers. I don't need to work on these because I've already mastered them. So it's a nice little chart that fills in as students are working through these mastery goals that you've created. That's pretty much the course mastery and the unit mastery. And again, you can do it for different courses. And then you're going to come down here with your goal to hit create unit goal. And it disappeared. Oh, here it is. It said it created already. All right. So that is the process of assigning a course or unit mastery goal. Can we see examples of the types of questions while in this mode assigning mastery goals? Well, when you're in here, you don't have access to actually see these assignments that are in the mastery goals. But what you can do is you can come over here. So let's say I'm in Algebra 1 Foundations, right? I'm going to go into Assignments and click on Assign. And I'm going to go into that unit. So I have Algebra 1 Foundations. So this is the unit. So let's say we were doing linear relationship word problems. I can click on this and anything that's blue, now I can see this article. It'll open in a new tab. Or actually, it opens a preview here. And if you want it in a new tab, you can open it. Me personally, sometimes I think it's easier to see. I also like when I open a new tab, I have what's next. So if I go back here and get out of here, this was that article. This is the video that's next. But when I have it in a new tab, I'm at my article here. And then I have that video next. It's a little bit easier for me to toggle in between the different components so that I can kind of get us an idea of what each one entails. Lastly, when you're here, so for the practice assignments and quizzes, it's a little different, right? So I can go through this and see what it would look like for a student experience. But when you're in this report from before, when you click on this, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you that students are going to get 4 of these 30 questions, right? Because remember when we were in the beginning and I told you you could assign the same questions to students or different questions, that's because we have a bank of questions for all of these skills embedded already. So that's where we're pulling from. So you can look at this way and see all different 30 questions that might be there. But I hope that answers your question. There's a couple ways of seeing those different things, and you can always see what it looks like from a student. This is what it would look like for them for that particular question. I didn't see anything else pop up. So when you are in your mastery goals, after you've assigned them, I want to show you what it looks like to monitor the progress. So here is the class that I was in, right? You can toggle between your class, and I'm looking at their progress. So I can see for their course, well, you have an option. You can look at all your goals. You can narrow it down by course goals, or you can narrow it down by unit goals. So say I'm looking at this unit goal that was created. I can see in Algebra 1 that I have about 11% of my students have made progress. If I click on this, it is going to give me a very detailed, and this is a demo account, so the odds of it all being 11%, I know. It wouldn't look like this, but it'll give me a detailed result of where students are, and this bar will fill in based on how far the student has gone. I can even click in a student's name, and I can see exactly for that particular student, so much information, right? So I have a ton of information I can see. And instead of having to go back, I can toggle between my students within that class right from this page. So here I'm looking at Matthew, and we have a little chart here that shows where's obviously nothing mastered or proficient yet. I'm going to go into the algebra, see if he has a little bit better data. Nope, not much data here. So I'm going to get back to mastery goal progress. Let's see. I'm going to go into my course goals, and I'm going to look at the digital SAT math. Here's a little bit of a better example, right? You see how these bars are different based on the students. And then I can go into a student. It's loading. And I can kind of see where they're at. So this was Algebra 1. I want to digital SAT. And now I can see, okay, they've attempted 5. They're familiar with 37, proficient in 3, and mastered at 14. So you're going to get that kind of a bar version of their little chart that comes out. Now, when you come down here, you can, anytime you see little colors next to it, that means they've been engaged in that content. I don't know if there's one here that doesn't have it, but it would not have any colors. So if I'm saying, okay, in this section, these were the skills that they worked on, and these are their current levels of mastery. So I can say, okay, well, we need a little work here, right? So there's something you can look at here. I can click on this and view that exercise. And you also get a little note here if you've assigned it, because sometimes kids are working through this. Let me see if I can get another example. Kids are working through this on their own. So you might not have assigned specific content for them based on that section. So let's go here. So here, you don't see assigned because I, the teacher, haven't assigned it, but it is part of their mastery goal. So let's go here, also not assigned. So when you make assignments, which were over here from earlier, when you make these assignments to students and they start becoming proficient, it fills in their proficiency for them in their mastery goals. So that's why it's nice to, like here, you can even see these guys are rocking it. Rex is rocking it. It's nice to be able to go in and see kind of where they're at. And if you have assigned it, it gives you a little more insight, right? So here, I'm not proficient. I'm proficient here, but haven't started these. But that's not a really big concern because I haven't assigned it. Maybe we haven't gotten to it yet. So that's what that assign button shows you there. All right. And this is just looking at skills. Okay. I can go over to assignments and get a different report for the student and see their scores. So if you're having a parent-teacher conference, you can pull this up. You can see the date, due date and time, and how many times they tried it. You can also look at their activity log and narrow it down by anything really for days and dates. You have a ton of options for here. You can narrow it down by all content or just mastery goals. And if you want to look at just quizzes or just tests, you can narrow it down by that as well. So here's a test that they took, and you can see here what it says +4. They leveled up in 4 skills, but they did go down in others. And so if I click details, now I can see exactly where. So here's the change in their level. They moved up to proficient for these 2, but down to familiar here and up to mastered for these 2. So a lot of information you can get from our reports. Do we have a way of seeing how long they spent on each assignment? So if we're in assignments, you can click on this view report, and it's going to give you an overview of the student and their attempts, but I don't think it's going to give you exactly how long they spent on the assignment. Let me go into scores and try that one. Yeah, I don't think it's maybe Stacy in the chat can help me. I don't think you get for this one how much time they spent on the assignment. All right, sorry about that. Hopefully Stacy's in the chat can help me answer that question. In the individual student report. So if I go in here to the student under assignments, and I'm in the activity log. Oh, here it is right here. There it is. Thank you guys. That's why we have a support team. They're the best. So here, when they're in your activity log, time in minutes. So going down here, I can see they spent 3 minutes on this video. I can see they only spent 1 minute on this video. So you have that over here on the side and their scores. All right, good questions. The next thing I want to show you when you're going through your mastery goals and your assignments is I want to show you the course challenge. Oops, sorry. So under assignments, you're going to go to assign. And I'm going to close these little guys because all the way down at the bottom, any mastery enabled course is going to have these course challenge, which you can see here, I've already assigned it. Gives me a little heads up. You can assign this to the students as often as you like. Okay, I'm going to show you what that process looks like, just like before, just any other assignment, you have all your choices. The course challenge is a great way for students to start filling in those mastery levels of things that they already know. So it's a 30 question, kind of like a mini assessment. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Students are getting a random selection of skills, right? Because this course has a lot of skills in it. They're only going to get 30 questions. But as they're getting them right, it starts to fill in the students. This is the student view. It fills this in for them. So if I understand that skill, it'll fill it in for me and differentiate that I don't need to be wasting my time on these activities because I've already mastered, right? If I took this quiz and I didn't do any of this work right here, and turns out I mastered it right here, all of that will then to the left that goes with that quiz or test will show up as mastered. So now I know the student doesn't need to be working in that. They already have that skill mastered. So what's nice about the course challenge is students can go in here, work through, and it kind of really narrows down exactly what they need to focus on and fill in those learning gaps. There is another, I don't see it on here. It says stay on track. Students also have, let me go into my slides if I can get it for you. I don't have it on the demo student side, but this Start Mastery Challenge. This Mastery Challenge is something completely separate from Course Challenge. We do encourage students to take these very seriously. And what it is it's not something that's always unlocked for them. It's not always available. In order for this to pop up for them to be able to work on, students have to have met the following conditions. They have to have reached familiar, right here, on at least 3 skills. They had to have reached proficient on at least 1. And it has to have been more than 12 hours since they last started one of these mastery challenges, or if they've never started before. Once unlocked, they'll see this here on the top, and they're able to start working through their mastery challenge. So I think here in my student account, they might have already started. So if I click stay on track, it looks like the student was already in this process. And so they are going to keep working through the problems to get to the end of this challenge. All right. Where am I? Get out of here. Okay. All right. So those are the mastery goals, course and unit, and assignments that you have access to in Khan Academy. And I'm going to show you now how we can incorporate Khanmigo into all of this. So say you're on under assignments and you're on your scores page. You always have access to Khanmigo right here on the right. I'm going to open up Khanmigo. And remember, I'm in teacher mode. So there's a toggle right here, student mode off, because I'm doing this as a teacher. And I'm going to ask Khanmigo, I can ask Khanmigo to give me a class chat snapshot, who needs check-in, group them on their most recent progress. And this only works for students who are working in Khan Academy course content. I'm going to have them group my class based on recent progress because I need to get some small groups going and I don't really have the time to start analyzing the data on my own when I have Khanmigo here to help me. It's going to ask what class I'm referring to. So I'm going to say I want this one. All right, and it's going to give me a breakdown based on recent progress. First, it starts with students' work to be celebrated. So Melanie was on for 171 minutes. Again, this is a demo account, so they haven't completed any assignments, but they were working. Maybe they didn't have any assignments. Students who might need a check-in, okay, and it gives you a little brief overview of them. And then it gives you a class summary. So maybe I want to say, okay, that's great, but what if I need assignments to give them in their small groups? So I'm going to ask Khanmigo, what should I assign to each of those groups that you recommended? And it's still thinking. Please hold. As it's thinking, when there is a tool in a Khanmigo teacher, oh, what did you click to get there? Move this closed. So I was here in my assignments and I was on my scores tab, but you can do this from any tab. And I clicked on Khanmigo down here at the bottom. So this is the chatbot ready to be here to help you. And it also saves all of their chat. So you can see where I asked, what should I assign each group? Now they gave me the group of students and exactly what exercise and quiz those students need to work on. The best part, I can click assign group one. If I like this, I mean, again, it's a demo account, but if I like this group and what they want, I can click assign group and everything. I don't have to go in and click it. I don't have to find it. All of it's right there. I can just pick between different question sets or the same and then hit assign. And all of those that it recommended right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all assigned to those students. So it's pretty cool. So that is one feature that you can use, and you can chat with Khanmigo while you're looking at any of these reports. Say I'm in the mastery goals, I'm looking at progress. I can say, who is not progressing well? Okay, going to ask what class I'm talking about, and I'm going to say, so it says, let's look at students who might need a check-in based on their time spent. These students spend less time than the class average of 84 minutes. Okay, and you can continue this conversation and ask more information as you chat with Khanmigo. What I would like to show you is how we can use some of our Khanmigo teacher tools. So here at the top where you have Khanmigo, you have access to all of these teacher tools, which we've gone over in some of our sessions in the past. You can group them according to category, planning, creating, differentiating, supporting, and learning. And in the support, there is, where, don't differentiate. Here we go. It's under plan. Sorry. Under plan, you do have access to a class snapshot tool that you can pull up, which is similar to doing it in your assignment report. It's going to open up and it's going to, again, pick which class. And it's going to give you a lot of overview of your class based on time they've spent in the last 7 days. It's always the last 7 days. This defaults to. It gives you your goals, the assignments, what they've worked on, their performance, a lot of information. Again, this only works when students are working in the Khan Academy course content. Breaks it down by course mastery, all done for you in the class snapshot tool. And again, you can also say group my class by their recommendations, which is my favorite for small group instruction. And it'll do that same thing it did in the other side where it will tell you, this is what I recommend, and do you want to assign it? I think they have a lot of recommendations. There we go. So here, let me go back up. Here's our group 1 and what they recommend. Here's who they put for group 2, their recommendations, group 3, group 4, group 5, and you can keep chatting and say, okay, I want to assign that. There's a lot of stuff you can do while you're in here. If you click on it, it will bring you to that specific activity. So this one is factoring, it's an exercise. So I came here to this exercise. Now, there's only 4 questions here that students are going to get. Maybe I want to create something that students can actually engage in before they come to these 4 questions, because maybe they need a little bit more practice. You'll notice here you have access to all of these tools that will take into consideration this standard and this rigor and this grade level and make that for you. So if I go in here and I say, I need you to make a multiple choice quiz, it's going to open a new tab. Okay. It already has the topic. It's already embedded. I hit generate quiz. And now, oh no, this is on Civil War. That is not correct. Please hold. Maybe because I didn't put the title in. Let me go back to the resource. Usually it will do that. So let's try a different one. Let's try exit ticket. Here we go. Now it has it all filled in. I don't know what happened to the last one. And Khanmigo is going to make an exit ticket telling you to reflect on the lesson by answering the following question. What you can do here is you can always come over to Khanmigo and chat and say, okay, that's great, but I need you to increase the rigor. And have this Socratic dialogue with Khanmigo so that you're able to tailor this specific to your students' needs. So now it says, okay, now it's taken this little prompt, right? And it's made it a lot more detailed, excuse me, of an exit ticket because it increased the rigor like I asked. You even have the ability to go in and ask Khanmigo to translate it into other languages. Khanmigo is fluent in Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, Hindi, and English. So what that means is we guarantee you're going to get a correct translation in those languages, but Khanmigo does speak every language. We just can't guarantee there might not be mistakes. So something that's pretty cool you can do in here. All right, so now I'm going to show you another way you can use this within content. So if you click up here and explore, you're able to get to your different classes, right? So I'm going to go into, let's just say 8th grade now. Oh, that reminds me. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this yet, but there is a Blender resource. This is for algebra. That there are some Blender resources that are already kind of have this crosswalk done for you. This shows the Palm Beach County School District topic. And then it tells you in top unit, your unit 2 is Khan Academy's unit 7, exponents and roots. And it kind of does that linking for you. And then it gives you other things you can do in the Khan Academy, as well as things you can create with your Khanmigo teacher tools. So this one wants, so let me go back into here. This is exponents and roots. So when I look through the different activities, which it looks like they recommended rewriting exponential equations as A-B video. Gotta find it. Here we go. So here's that video. I'm going to click on that. And now, they've done that recommendation. Now I can go in here and ask them to do some things with this. So maybe this is a video that they're watching. I can make a whole entire lesson plan. I can make a lesson hook. I just click on it. It pre-fills this in for me. Okay. And then hit write some lesson hooks. Okay. So it gives me a lot of kind of wordy information. Begin with a real-world problem-solving activity. Present students with a scenario for compound interest. I'm going to highlight this. And this is one of my favorite features for these tools. When I click on Ask Khanmigo and I click Discuss this, Khanmigo is going to open up in this chat and going to give me a ton of information about just this part that I highlighted. And this is really helpful in making sure that you, as the teacher, are engaging the students in the activity in the way it was intended, because sometimes it might not be enough information. Okay. So now it's telling me the idea here is for students to do all of this. Okay. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to ask, okay, how can I include some review of prior skills that my students need for this activity? Okay, so great question, reviewing prior skills. So now it's going to give me, do a quick recap session, provide a set of warm-up problems, give an interactive quiz, peer teaching, right? So I'm going to say, okay, that's all great. Provide me the warm-up problems. Why should I have to create it, right? Okay, and now Kamigo has, of course, here's some warm-up problems that can help you review necessary skills for the activity, right? So it's a lot you can do over here in the side that you are working on based on what you're seeing here. You can tailor it to what your needs are. Lastly, for me, because I don't have time in my life, what are the answers? Because I'm going to need that. While I can figure it out myself, I don't have the time for it. So Kamigo does. All right. So what I like is it's going to take the, right. So here's the problems. It doesn't just give you the answer. It takes the whole problem and then puts the answer right after it. So you don't have to go back up and down looking for that one. So that is one example of how you can take a Khan Academy course content, right? So anything anything from here in Khan Academy and create a tool. I'm also going to show you how you can use the Big M. This is usually where I ask anybody, does anybody know what the Big M is? So if you're using the benchmark and standards from the Big M, you can put that into a tool without having to go through this coursework. So I'm going to go into my teacher tools. And I'm going to go to differentiate. And I want to make it relevant because a lot of my math students are always asking me, when am I ever going to need this? Then I'm going to go to my Big M and I'm going to copy this verbiage, the verbiage from this standard. If I can get it to copy, it's not letting me. Copy text. I'm going to paste it into the learning objective. Take this out. Okay, now I get to say, what are my kids into? My high school students are obsessed with their phones and social media. That's pretty much what I've seen. So now it's going to take that standard and it's going to give me ways to make and teach this in a way that it's relevant to students. So here, I'll give you a second to read this. And this is also recorded, so you can always pause the video if you're watching the recording. Again, it says here, develop a lesson where students, I can click on this or highlight it, ask Khanmigo, get more information. I can make changes to this. I can ask Khanmigo for help. I can ask Khanmigo to make that lesson for me. So anytime Khanmigo gives a suggestion, go ahead and, if you like that suggestion, have Khanmigo follow through with that for you. All right. Another one of my favorite tools with the Big M, I go back here, is taking these sometimes very difficult, go down there, instructional tasks or instructional items and have students, and use that in a way that students, and put it into a tool, right? So if I'm using this one, I can go in and create and I'm going to go into learn because I want to go to chat with GPT. What's nice is that all of the information here is academic based and not just a whole plethora of non-academic content that ChatGPT is using. So I can say create 3 similar problems for my high school to work on, and then I'm going to go get that. Now you do have to be careful when you're chatting in here. So we have this 10 to the power of 0.2x. So when you're doing a formula, I'm going to show you this live in here. Go hit enter. Oh, that's not what I meant. Shoot. Well, I guess you don't need to. It already knows because it speaks that kind of text, but I was trying to show you how to use these math keys, but Kami goes ahead of me. And then it gives me similar problems. Now, obviously, this one's just different, numbers and stuff, but you can take some really wordy word problems and get those. Let's see if we have any other ones. And get them to be rewritten for you with different suggestions and even tailoring it to meet your students' needs, right? So, rewrite, give me similar examples, but my kids like their phones, have it to have something to do with their phones. So a lot of options you have in our teacher tools. All right. And lastly, I am going to show you in my slides that these are some prompts that you can use as a teacher. So while you're chatting with Khanmigo and you're creating these resources, you can ask Khanmigo to simplify it for your ELLs. I just showed you how to create similar examples, break this down into steps. So these are all things you could chat with Khanmigo to get some supports for your students. This is the class snapshot that tool that I showed you where it gives a whole bunch of information. And we have a QR code here that you can click on to kind of give you a little bit of a like an anchor chart or a note taker that you can kind of use to jot down that information because it does come out to be a lot of information. And that is here in my Khanmigo tools. And it's under plan. So we have gone over a lot of information today. We talked about our courses and adding our courses, how to make assignments, how to make mastery goals, course unit goals, and how to differentiate for our students based on our data that we dove into. So if you have any further questions, this is the support email that's dedicated to Khanmigo County's teachers. And also, you can also join fellow Florida educators on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on Khanmigo tips and tricks.
Oh, thank you so much, Tamsin. There were just a few questions in the chat. I'm going to pop them up on the screen, and we'll see. We got a few minutes left, so we can maybe get these questions answered.
When it comes to creating graphs in Khanmigo, no. Khanmigo is currently at this point just speech and text. We are not at the point yet with creating images, but it is in the works. To prevent students from cheating on their Khan Academy assignments. I don't know exactly the full context of this. So like if you're saying like, can they go into another tab and Google the answer? Probably, right? When they're working in there, because it's on a computer, right? So I definitely would recommend using a Go Guardian so they're not going in between. But yes, being in Khan Academy, they're not forced to stay in the platform. They are able to go out and click on any other tab. But when they're working in an assignment, so say we're in an assignment and I'm a student and I'm working on this, right? And I'm practicing in here, I can chat with Khanmigo and over here on the side, this is teacher mode. I can chat with Khanmigo and have Khanmigo help me to solve this. But down here where it has their like progress, if a student chats with Khanmigo and gets the answer from Khanmigo, it'll be grayed in as gray, not green, because the students, didn't do that on their own. So Khanmigo is never going to give them the answer. It's going to work them through the process of solving it. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, that was a great suggestion, Tamsin, utilizing other technology tools like GoGuardian to monitor student work is always super helpful. But as Tamsin said, Khanmigo is that support. It's not going to give the answer. It's going to be a good tutor. So we are wrapping up. Please take any final questions you may have and put them in the chat. As you're doing that, I'm going to go through just our final slides before we sign off. So we do have this course is in e-learning. If you would like to earn 2 in-service points for completing the implementation, please make sure you register by the end of today so we can get you locked into that course. We also have a few more sessions coming up this afternoon that Khanmigo for electives, for science and social studies, and also new to the scene, we now have Canva approved for student use. So that's available in the student portal now. So please join us for any or all of these sessions that interest you. Please join our mailing list. Go to the training website. This recording will be posted on the training website. It will also be available on the EdTech YouTube channel after it's processed. It does take a little bit to get processed, but it will be there soon. And just a quick plug for our technology conference upcoming in February of 2025. It's going to be at Garcia High School. We would love for you to submit a proposal to present. We want to see all of the cool things that you're doing in your classroom so you can share with the other teachers in our district. Tamsin will be there live and in person, so you'll get to meet her. We hope you will join us then. From everyone on the EdTech team, we appreciate you. We can't wait to see you at the tech conference and at future training sessions. I'm going to bring Tamsin up one more time. Thank you so much, Tamsin. You're
You're
awesome.
welcome.
You're a rock star. We appreciate you. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so we're going to end just 2 or 3 minutes early. Have a great lunch, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Bye.